now tuned into the greatest.
So when that bag come, I won't fumble. I've been stacking on the low, but hey, I'm tired of being humble. Let me get to it. That motivation music. Get control of your life, don't let nobody else do it. Cause when I gon' have Metro S550s cruising. Feel like you winning on the...
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. You know, I greatly appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, go ahead, shoot us a quick take, 219-413-9405. And of course, we will play your take back on our next episode. And then speaking of episodes, shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website. So I don't know about you, but my Tigers is going crazy right now. So I would do anything and everything in my power to go see them. Definitely going to be taking a couple trips out to Detroit to see them. But yeah, you need to go ahead, check those boys out. And check out your local team, sports, music, whatever it is you're into, you can definitely check it out there. However, the thing that we're going to be talking about and bringing to attention today is Game 2 of the NBA Finals here. And we were in for a treat. Was it really a treat? Not really, but I'm just happy his basketball still going on. And it was some pretty good basketball before the game got out of control. But above all, we've seen some important things in this series that are kind of going to let us know what's going to happen in Game 3, Game 4, Game 5. Obviously, we know both teams are talented and either team can win, which is probably the most important thing and something that I think had to have been established going into this series, because for some weird, odd reason, we genuinely had people in here thinking that OKC was going to sweep the Pacers, and we genuinely had people think that the Pacers weren't really a good team. But the biggest difference that I've noticed so far between Game 1 and Game 2 is when OKC shoots lights out, them boys shoot lights out, and that's how they end up winning by 20 points whenever they playing against any of these teams in the playoffs, whether it's the Pacers, whether it was the Nuggets, or whether it was the Wolves. Either way, when these boys is knocking down their three-pointers, man, they start rolling quick. It's almost like how they say good defense leads to good offense. It's almost like their good offense leads to good defense in a way. Where they're just so talented on both ends of the ball. And in Game 2, that was really the big difference of what we seen from the Thunder, is that we seen more spreaded scoring for that whole team. Look at Game 1, the stat sheet wasn't really as feel from those guys, the starting five, and then even some of the guys on the bench. But Game 2, obviously we seen Chet. He showed up big time, had 15 points. Did his part on the rebounds as well, grabbed 6 of them, and then made some three-pointers, just made some big shots as well that helped out the momentum. We know what J-Dub is going to bring to the floor every time. He's always huge, and SGA is always just kind of a walking 30-piece as well. But, these are the things from OKC that I noticed with the difference between Game 1 and Game 2 so far, is that the scoring was more spread throughout. It wasn't just the SGA show where he's the one that's grabbing 35, 38, whatever the case is, and then running away, carrying the offense on his own. When he has help, this team end up winning by 25. They end up winning by 17, or however large the margin is actually going to be. As long as SGA has some help there with other people who can knock down the open shots, because all the attention is going to be on him. However, let's move to the Indiana Pacers, because the Pacers, they struggle here. Didn't really seem to find the offensive rhythm at all throughout this game. A lot of people kind of want to get mad at Tyrese Halliburton and throw that whole thing of, oh, he's not a star in his face, which, in a way, I really do disagree with. I think Tyrese Halliburton has proved, if anything, this entire playoff series that he is a star. So what if he has some bad nights? It happens. It's the NBA Finals. It's his first time there. I mean, he's not going to hit it on the nail every time, and he's not a purebred scorer like we see from the other point guard on Oklahoma City Thunder. That dude's a purebred scorer, no matter what you say and how you want to align it. Tyrese Halliburton, that's not his game. He's more kind of a pass-first guard, get his teammates involved type of guard, and then score at will if he needs to, which is why he ended up with practically 8 points before the game got out of hand and he started putting up even more points toward the end of the game. He finished with 17, but above all, those 17 points didn't come in important times of the game. A lot of those 17 points came in garbage time. With that being said, though, I mean, obviously we got to see Tyrese Halliburton step his game up. This is an aspect that they're going to need from the Pacers in order to win game 3 and step up game 3. One of the things I did notice as well, the three-point shooting was not very good from a lot of the supporting cast. Miles Turner was 1 for 5. Nimbar, 1 for 4. Siakam, 1 for 4. You see a lot of different 1 for 5s and 1 for 4s. Obi Toppin was a guy who hit like 5 threes in game 1, but 1 for 5. So the shooting margins is something that stood out to me right off the back. It's just 3-point margins, but also too, I would be very, very disrespectful and I would be doing OKC a disservice if I didn't give credit to their defense, because OKC didn't really shoot the best from the 3-point line or in general as well, but they played defense and created turnovers. This was by far the difference maker here, is just creating those turnovers, kind of how we seen in game 1 where Pacers got sloppy and they were flipping it left and right. It was a similar situation, but this time OKC didn't take their foot off the gas. And ultimately, you know, here we are where this is why they win by 17 points or however much points it was. Like, this is why they win by a large margin, because they were able to force the turnovers. And this time they never took their foot off the gas. So, you know, you love to see that. It was ultimately, I think, a great basketball game there between game 1 and game 2. Game 3 is going to be interesting. They're going back to Indiana. In this sense, I guess, Pacers now have home court advantage. So this game 3 in Indiana is about to be huge, because Pacers, if they protect home court, then they can close it out at home. If they lose, you give the advantage back to the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I'm excited about this, but ultimately both teams have been fairly well at making adjustments all throughout the course of the playoffs. So I'm expecting definitely a better game than game 2. Coming into game 3 with the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I'm excited about that. Another thing too, I would be wrong if I didn't discuss this since we're on the topic of Pacers and, you know, the Oklahoma City Thunder, but I think it's hilarious, as a matter of fact. I think it's so funny. A lot of people might not find it funny, but sometimes I have a dark sense of humor. So I think it's funny how the NBA and mainstream media has tried to give Tyrese Halliburton a new nickname. What the hell is up with that? We know Tyrese Halliburton's nickname is not the moment. I get it. It's whatever. I see what you tried to do, giving him the nickname the moment. But any and everybody who's been on Twitter, who's been following the NBA playoffs, knows that Tyrese Halliburton's nickname is the Halliban. That's what it is. He's the Halliban. And right now we're witnessing the Halliban versus Shices, or Al Shida. This is just what we're seeing, and this is what everybody has already agreed to. Sometimes you can't give a nickname to the person. Sometimes the people pick the nickname, and whether you like it or not, I am sorry, but the people have picked the nickname for Tyrese Halliburton, and it is not the moment. It is the Halliban. So this is, I know people on ESPN, I know that the bigger networks in the Bleacher Reports and stuff will not abide by that, but just know, if you already know, you already calling him the Halliban, that is his nickname. I am sorry. That is just his nickname. The people chose that for him, and that's what it is, man. They say he out here dropping bombs, and all right, going a little too far, but they say it fits. Just the name fits. With all the buzzer beaters he's been making, the name fits. That's all I'm gonna say. And then I don't know where the Al Shida came from. The Al Shida was crazy, and the Shices was crazy as well. I don't know where this came. This is crazy. This here proves this American sport is getting out of control, and the commentary from others is just getting a little out of control. I will say it is wild, and I'm not condoning that. You know, you see Tyrese Halliburton in person and you say, "Oh, Halliburton, what's up?" Like, I am not condoning this at all. I'm just saying it get a little out of control, and for the big networks to be trying to switch the name up and stuff, it is the right thing to do, but ultimately that is not the nickname that the people have chosen, man. That's just not it, man. Nicknames have gotten so bad in the league, and now we're at a point where we finally get one good nickname with a good reason behind it, and you damn near can't even use it. So it hurts. But above all, man, you know, that's an interesting side note on the whole NBA Finals thing, is the nicknames that's going on right now. We're seeing a lot of players develop some new names. So interesting. All right, anyway, look, don't go anywhere, man. We got some news for the run coming up. A couple different things happening, actually, for, the sports world and NFL and NBA. Obviously, you know what's going on in the NBA, but NHL is in there as well. But we'll run through some news for the run in just a sec, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. It's halftime. All right, man, let's get into it. Some news for the run. Let's kick it off. Let's go UEFA League, man. So let's go with the soccer, international football. But Portugal, they won the Nations League. And we seen one of the GOATs do what he does. And Ronaldo, he ended up beating the 17-year-old phenom, Lamine Yamal. And I thought it was a dope game above all. But Yamal's been getting a lot of flack because people like, oh, the kid needs to be humble. We know he's good. We know he beat Mbappe like 7 times in this past year. But the kid needs to be humble. And to me, I look at it like, hey, man, let him go crazy. Let him go crazy. He obviously just got humbled by one of the GOATs, which is a part of the process. But I love the swagger that he has. I love that the kid is not shy about it. And he's letting everybody know, like, hey, if y'all think he's the best, I'm really the best. Like, I love how he did that in the match before the final, but ultimately in this final match here against Portugal, Mendes had the clamps on him, man. That's all Mendes had the clamps on Yamal. I expected to see a lot more. I don't even know if Yamal really even got a shot off against Portugal in this matchup here, but above all, I was definitely excited about what I seen here. As a complete game, I thought it was a solid game, but Portugal did end up winning the game. So, shout out to Portugal and completing that great winning the cup. Ronaldo winning another trophy, I should say. Yeah, I'm happy for him more than I am for all of Portugal. But hey, shout out to them. Anyway, we got some more stuff. So let's jump over to the NBA because some guy that a lot of people have been trying to target on a free agent, he's not going to be available. So the Pacers, they're about to re-sign Miles Turner, who's going to be an unrestricted free agent in the offseason. So Turner, he's expected to ask for about $30 million a year, which would push the Pacers over the luxury tax. But Pacers, apparently now, they're going to do it anyway. This will be the first time in over 20 years that they go over the luxury tax and have to kind of take in that penalty. What that penalty is, I don't know off the top of my head, but I had to look it up a couple different times, and I would say just check it out. But just know Miles Turner, he ain't going nowhere. He's staying in Indiana, apparently. However, Darius Garland, the point guard for the Cleveland Cavaliers, he underwent toe surgery, I think earlier today. And he's going to be active to start training camp again, but he will be expected to miss a couple of weeks in the regular season of next year. But above all, he'll be fully healthy, after those first few weeks. Probably only miss maybe like a month at max, but he'll be around the team and stuff at the start of training camp, if anything. So good to see that. However, we can move to the NFL because the NFL has a lot going on with a couple guys who are, some decent names in there that's going to make something happen. But the Green Bay Packers, they're going to be releasing cornerback Jair Alexander after 7 seasons. This dude is coming off a remarkable defensive season and honestly was a strong, pivotal anchor for the Green Bay Packers defense. So it's going to be interesting to see how they pivot from losing an elite cornerback like Jair Alexander. That will definitely be tough. Also, the Indiana Colts, they announced details on the transition of ownership from the late Jim Irsay. I think I said his name right, but Irsay, yeah. So he now, I guess it was written somewhere or already placed somewhere, but the new owners of the team will be his daughters. You have Carly, Casey, and Kaylin, which will all now be the owners and CEO of the Indianapolis Colts. So you're happy to see that, man. Love to see those type of things. But hopefully, and most importantly, they do a good job, which is all Indiana Colts fans want. And that's all any NFL fan wants, is for the owners to just actually make strides of being good. However, man, look, let's move along because I got some things to say. I've been seeing a lot of nonsense lately about Pistons trades, and I can never let it go whenever I see Pistons trade ideas and things like that because I really do take it personal in a way. Kind of like how Mike was saying in his documentary. But no, seriously, whenever I see these outrageous deals, these outrageous trade targets, and it's involving the Detroit Pistons, I have to have a word on it. So I want to bring to you a couple names where the Pistons should target. They should try and grab them in free agency, and they should actually try and bring some of these guys to Detroit on good contracts. And then for some of them, it would be acceptable for a bad contract. But initially, let me just name the guys that the Pistons should target for the offseason. If you can get away with paying them a certain amount, then do it. But as long as it's not going to hurt our future in the long end, then definitely stay away. So I'll explain why I got each of these people on the list in just a sec. But first off, I'm starting off with Naz Reid. We got to target Naz Reid. Lauri Markkanen is a name I heard up there, but that one has a question mark to it. I'll explain in just a sec. Kevin Durant also has a question mark to it. I've been seeing some rumors about Pistons possibly going for him. Jaren Jackson is another guy. Santi Aldama with the Grizzlies as well, another guy, which I'll explain about that. And then Julius Randle, I've been seeing this, and this is a hell no. So let's go back to the beginning and explain really quick. I'm going to try and make it as brief as I can because I don't want to hold y'all for too much longer. Anyway, so starting off with Naz Reid. Naz Reid has to be priority one for the Detroit Pistons, man. This is a guy literally can play all three levels of the floor. Naz Reid play defense, and I don't think he's really going to break the bank for any team that's really trying to get him out there. Now, one of the things that concerns me, and I do kind of think the ticket is going to go up for Naz Reid because his value has definitely increased, but he's currently on a 3-year, $41 million, and I can see him honestly probably getting up to like 65, 75 mil. If the Pistons can do this without hurting us in the future, I'm okay with it because of the production that Naz Reid can bring to the table. However, I would not want to go near 100 mil for Naz Reid. I think it wouldn't be worth it, especially if we can't bring back certain pieces and can't pay certain pieces once they're up for pay. So for Naz Reid, I'm all for, paying and opening up the book for him. He's priority number one, so I would be okay. I would be a little lenient if we do have to go over the tax threshold and all of that for the luxury and just kind of deal with that penalty. But above all, he's priority one. Number two, Lauri Markkanen, and Lauri Markkanen was a popular option here for a lot of people. This one kind of came about this week, but Lauri Markkanen, I gotta say no. Do not target Lauri Markkanen if you're the Detroit Pistons. This dude is literally on a huge contract, fresh off of signing a new deal, and for Lauri Markkanen, this dude's guaranteed. Or I'm not going to say guaranteed, but his contract is 4 years, $195 million, and he just signed it. So this is huge, and this guy's production has not been there at all from what I've seen in terms of him staying healthy, because the amount of games he's been playing over the last 3 years has just decreased more and more and more and more. So I wouldn't want to trade for a guy who's getting 195 mil, and the production is nowhere near worth that 195 mil. So I can't do that Lauri Markkanen stuff. I know it looks good, him and Cade there, and he's a guy who's also a 3-level scorer, but not worth that ticket to pay him that much, especially when you're gonna go over the tax threshold. And it's a no. I'm a hard no on Lauri Markkanen. I don't want that to happen. But if they could do it without getting screwed because of trading assets, and now I still wouldn't even want to do it. I don't want Lauri Markkanen. That contract is too huge. So keep Lauri Markkanen away from Detroit. I don't need that at all. Another guy here was Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was hearing some whispers, or we've been hearing some whispers about Kevin Durant possibly joining the Detroit Pistons. And for Kevin Durant, man, I think he's at that point in his career where obviously he's not really looking for a bag to chase, but more so just want to play good basketball with good teammates in a good environment. Detroit is that spot, but I fear he's not going to drop all the way down to something like a vet minimum where we wouldn't really have to open up our checkbooks and open up the wallets and give him a good amount of money. I can't see Kevin Durant going less than 100 mil, especially since his previous contract was 4 years, 194. I don't know how much longer he is going to want to play. However, I doubt it's going to be more than 3 years, but if so, we can't give him anything over 120 mil, man. That's just going to be way too much to pay a guy who's already on the back end and another guy who's just not going to really take us to the threshold of going to the finals and winning over the next course of the 3 to 4 years. Because KD, I know he's one of my favorite ever, but three to 4 years thinking future-wise, he's not going to be able to help the Pistons as much as we think or as much as he would have been able to 3 to 4 years ago. So Kevin Durant is kind of a no for me. But a guy that I'm really excited about, and I would be excited about here, is Jaren Jackson. I think Jaren Jackson is someone that I would love for Detroit to have on their team, and for someone for them to sign. I would be okay with them opening up the books, open up the wallet, do whatever you got to do to bring Jaren Jackson there. I'm content with that because this dude plays defense. He's expanded his game, where now he's scoring from the inside and outside, and he's also become a great playmaker. And then on top of all of that, this is a defensive candidate, man. This is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and he's going to be one of the least expensive stars who's going to be a free agent this year. His previous contract was 4 years, $105 million, and I know the ticket is going to go up, but I think Jaren Jackson is a guy who's worth it because he is so young and he has such a bright future ahead of him. And if you could somehow bring Jaren Jackson to Detroit on a free agency deal, a signing, and you get to keep Cade and you get to keep Duren, that's a combination for success in the next 3 to 4 years. That's a combination I can live with. I can live with you going over the tax violations of the luxury tax and all of that. If we can keep Jalen Duren, Cade Cunningham, and Jaren Jackson all next to each other, and somehow keep Malik Beasley there because we got him under contract, I would be perfectly content with that lineup and rolling those 4 guys out on the same team with some good role players around. But I mean, it's just the thing of, are we going to actually go through with violating the luxury tax? Like we did with Coach Manny Williams. And that kind of screwed us a little bit, but that's a whole nother conversation. But Jaren Jackson is a hard yes. I would love to see Jaren Jackson in Detroit for sure. Another dude here, and you know, he's pretty much the last guy. He's a 7-footer, and he can spread the floor. He can shoot. He's not going to cost a lot. Santi Aldama with the Memphis Grizzlies. This is a dude. He's a pretty good shooter from the three-point line. He's a 7-footer. He's not much of a solidified defender just yet in the league, but I think he has the potential to become a great defender, being a 7-foot body down low, and also a guy who can spread the floor. So he's going to be fairly cheap as well, but I think his ticket did go up, but I would be content with bringing him in on a deal that's no more than $60 million. With what he's done over the past 3 to 4 years, he's proved to get a ticket that's more than his previous $11 million. But above all, if we're going to bring somebody in and we don't want to violate the tax thresholds, this could be a guy where we could bring in and can still make a difference because he can knock down shots, because he could be a presence down low as well, and he could just add more depth to the bench. And you don't have to pay him $100 million like you would have to pay Jaren Jackson or like you would have to pay a Naz Reid. You could get away with paying him something around 40 for a couple years. So I'm content with Aldama. I think he would be a good pickup. And the last guy is Julius Randle, which I said is a hell no. I don't want Julius Randle anywhere near Detroit, man. Look, Randle, he's up and down, but ultimately I've seen this man give up on far too many plays. I've seen this man just hang his head and just not give the effort at times where I think the effort needs to be continuously showed. We've seen him do it with multiple teams now at this point, and it's one of those things where it's clearly an unfixable trait with this person. So I don't want Julius Randle near us, especially with the ticket that he's going to come with. Keep him away from Detroit for as far as possible, for as long as possible. I don't want him there at all. I'll put it that way. Other than that, man, I think the true answer to any of the Pistons' problems here is really just going to be the development. Like, if these guys can continue to develop, if we can continue to develop Duren's offensive game, because God knows, oh my gosh, this man is the Angel Reese of the NBA from an offensive standpoint. His offensive game ain't there if he ain't catching lobs. He ain't really got much to show. So I would love to see Duren continue to develop, and this is going to be a crucial factor of how good the Pistons can be in the next 4 years. Is Duren going to actually have an offensive game? This is the big question mark. We know he's solid on defense. We know he can play defense down low. He can hold his own even at the top of the key sometimes, but the offensive scoring and the offensive playmaking and just expanding that offensive game is going to be huge for him. And not only Duren, there's multiple players on the team. Obviously, extremely young with Asar and Ron Holland III. Extremely young guys, but that development just has to continue to grow. And I think we'll be in good hands as long as we continue to do that and these guys do develop in a good pace. So the free agency isn't the end of the world. It is necessary in order for us to get back to winning a championship and competing for conference championships and conference finals and NBA finals. Definitely a necessary step, but it's not the end of the world if we don't land anyone just yet. So I'll keep it at that. But other than that, man, look, that's all I got for you guys. I'm going to leave you with a positive note. And the positive note here, it's going to be simple. I actually have it. I had it written down on something, but let's see if I can pull it back up. All right, so the positive note, man, is just going to be whatever you do, man, you got to have faith in what you're working toward. You can't do, something and work hard for something and then not actually believe that it's going to happen. You got to kind of be a little delusional and just know, like, it's going to happen, and you got to believe. You got to have faith in it. So if you're doing the work, you're putting in the work, you're doing all the research, and you're putting in the hours for it, have faith that whatever you're putting the hours toward is going to happen. So I'm going to leave it at that. Accept it however you want to accept it. And then I'll leave you guys, man. I'll be back later on next week. Next week we should have game 3 of the NBA Finals. It's happening Wednesday, so Thursday will probably be some talk about game 3 of the NBA Finals, and I'm curious if a lot of people are enjoying it, because I'm enjoying it. At least the first game was crazy with the Halliburton buzzer beater. So yeah, man, I'm excited. But anyway, look, man, that's all I got. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Send this to a cousin, a brother, an aunt, uncle, niece, nephew, coworker, friend, family member, anybody you know. I promise you they not gonna mind. Until then, man, we'll be back later on this week. And so on and so on and so on.